Yo, yo. What up? What up? Yo. What up? What up? Hey. Hey, welcome. Welcome to Benny's crib. What up? Yeah, just leave your shoes over there. It's cool. Yeah, thanks. Does that sound cool? Yo, what up? Welcome to Benny's crib. Beautiful people, we are here yet again. We are live for another interview regarding artists out here in Maine in the 207. We're very blessed to have another guest here tonight on the futon. Please give it up for Assasi. How are you doing, my friend?
I'm good, thank you. And you? Doing
Not
good?
too bad. Feeling very focused, trying to be grateful with my time and energy. Wintertime could be a lot on my mind and mental health, so I try and be very, or I'm not always, but recently I've been trying to be very aligned with my energy and my actions, so I'm feeling positive.
Good. Yeah.
Hell yeah. The first question, no, I have to ask this first and then I'll get to your name, but the first question we ask everybody here at Benny's Crib regards early memories, specifically hip-hop memories. Assasi, what's your first memory of hip-hop?
I think first memory of hip hop is Michael Jackson cassettes. I heard from history. I heard Biggie. Wow. And I heard like other rappers as well that he featured. So the first time I heard hip hop or rapping was like from Michael Jackson's albums. And I was a kid in Syria, so I didn't understand any English or anything. I was just like how the covers of Michael Jackson's album. So I saved my money to buy the albums, and then I heard hip hop through that.
Wow, I didn't even know Biggie was on a Michael Jackson album.
Yeah, he was on one of his albums. I forgot what there was. I think the words. Forgot what's the name of the song, but
yeah,
yes,
I'll have to look it up, man. It's interesting too, just thinking about the global reach of hip hop. We talk about just even like in a place that's kind of sheltered and isolated like Maine. Everybody had hip hop around in their youth. So here you are in Syria. Were you in Aleppo?
Aleppo, yes.
And you're hearing Michael Jackson and Biggie collaborations in a new language, and it's still hitting your soul in some way. It's interesting just how it's a universal vibration in a sense, I think. So I'm glad we got to kind of touch base there, because I wanted to also ask your name in Arabic. I believe I wrote it down. Does it mean essential?
Yes, correct. It translates to essential. It was my band's name at some point, but then at some point I just became my name as an artist, and it just became my real name as well, because everyone calls me that.
Gotcha.
Like in Middle East.
Yeah.
Till I came here, I used my government name for a while, but then it just felt weird, so I went back to Assasi.
Yeah, I like that. Yo. Let's keep it in your times in your youth. Just like in your own words, like where are you from? Like where were you born? Where did you spend most of your youth?
Well, I was born in Aleppo in 1987. I'm 37 years old.
You look good, yo. You look young, man.
Thank you.
Yeah, I'm 30. I thought you looked closer to my age, yo.
Thank you. I appreciate that. I was raised in Aleppo until I was 21 years old. Then between 17 and 21, I lived between Damascus because I did mandatory military service in Syria. So at that time, when I finished the military before the revolution starts, I just left Syria. I had to leave Syria because didn't find any space to my creative mind, at the time for a subgenre to thrive in Aleppo especially.
Yeah, we'll get kind of into the music and maybe culture that you were interested in, and maybe just the overall kind of culture of Aleppo at the time. But is Damascus and Aleppo, are those the two largest cities?
Correct, yes. Damascus is the capital. They say Aleppo is the second after the capital. There was a debate back in the day for one of them to be the capital. Mm-hmm. But they're both our capitals culturally. They're very rich in their own right, both cities.
Hell yeah. I'm learning a lot. I appreciate this.
Thank you.
What did you spend a lot of your youth doing if you had any free time? Were you into music at the time?
Definitely I was, but not hip hop. Like Arabic music, 80s, 90s pop music. But at my free time, I mostly at home, I actually was into electronics. So
Mm.
I used to like I remember cassette player. You just like put it apart, like totally put it apart and then put it back together.
Oh wow! Like you're actually like messing with the
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
hardware.
Like take everything, the mechanism in it, and I was like very into that. Sometimes if it's wrong, like I clean it. It needs to be clean. So I used to make mixtapes, also on cassette.
Yeah, oh yeah.
So my favorite songs from every artist, I would like record very good quality. So I used to make it for the neighborhood, uh, like
You were the DJ of the neighborhood.
yeah, like kind of, but only like I did it for like to. For a girl that I had crush on, like the neighbor's girl. Like she was a lot older than me, but she was always asking me to make mixtapes, and I was excited like that someone is interested in this
Oh, yeah.
more than like I had crush on a girl, on my neighbor girl. But like yeah, so that was my free time, like just into cassette, like that was like in the 90s, late 90s, early 2000. Technology wasn't like very at the time, like in Syria. So we were a little bit behind than the West.
Yeah.
So we were still using, like technology. We had internet in 2000. Like that's the first
wow.
time we had internet in Syria. So and before that, so that was the only thing like to spend time other than the TV and cassette music until, but then after then CD, the elevation of music, you get it.
Yeah, I want to talk about some of the music too. Was it pop? I mean, it was. I imagine hip hop probably wasn't that popular in Syria at the time, was it? Like, was it a huge genre when you were growing up?
No, but yeah, you see what led also to hip hop from that. I spent a lot of time in my youth when I went to like sixth grade. I started playing basketball. Like
Oh, you hoop?
yeah,
I love basketball. Yeah.
and I was like seeking to go professional in basketball, but there was corruption in sports, even in Syria, sadly.
Damn.
I have some until today. Like one of my friends is like a champ. He's in Syria. His name is Nadim Isa. Shout out to Nadim Isa. We talked earlier, and we inspired each other in our careers, like how I kept doing music, even though I didn't thrive in basketball. And he kept thriving in basketball, and now he's a champ. I'm so proud of him. So yeah, you see, I loved basketball, and through basketball, hip hop is very connected.
Very,
to
very
basketball.
connected. Huge.
So yeah, it was easy access for me to get to hip hop then.
That's what position did you play?
Playmaker.
Like a guard?
Yeah, no, I don't know what you call it, like maybe different names in Syria, but a playmaker is the player in the middle who, like like kind of according to my height, I'm not very tall, so I'm fast and short, and I'm good at 3 points. So
The shooter.
yeah,
Yeah, and you were probably facilitating, like passing and being.
yes, but I mostly struggled being professional because I was inspired by street ball a lot. So I was into and one and a lot of moves and breaking the laws of basketball.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
So I got in a lot of trouble when I was trying to play professionally, and that's why it affected kind of. I don't blame it all on corruption, but also like I'm stubborn. I want to do it my style, my way, and that's kind of like why also I lift for music as well.
Yeah, you can have a lot more autonomy in music, I feel like, and be more individualistic. Were you watching like the And One street ball tapes at the time?
Yes.
Like Hot Sauce and all those hoopers?
Hot Sauce is like one of my favorite players of
so
all
badass,
time. I copied a lot of his moves, the tornado, the hurricane, a lot of his moves. And, you get the just, like the impression on people, like how they take it, like when you do it. It's flashy, yes, but it was also hard, not easy, by the way, to do all of these moves.
Difficult, but he makes it look easy. That's the tricky part,
Yeah, he have to make it look easy. So I had a lot of bruises and fell a lot until I got very good. It's not easy also to learn these things.
Yeah, that's amazing. I didn't. I mean, it makes sense, right? Like in the more like 90s and moving forward, I feel like the whole world's connected in a lot of ways, but still, it's just amazing to think I was watching And One tapes here in Maine, and you were over in Aleppo watching A1 tapes too and being inspired by the same shit. It's just
Yeah.
culture is global, you know, it's universal. I want to
By the way, before we go anywhere, I still watch The Professor until today. I watch these videos and I love The Professor.
Nasty, yo.
Yeah.
And this one person I was gonna shout out to now I can't remember. Ego Death. He'll come back if it's important. Before we talk about maybe your introduction into hip hop or even maybe like your travels outside of Aleppo, I wanted to talk about maybe some of the more traditional music in Aleppo. I believe it was like Klasiki. Is that how you pronounce it?
Yeah, كلاسيكي. موسيقى كلاسيكية. Yes.
And I'm just gonna go for it. Kadud Halabia.
قدود حلبية. Yes, correct. That's the. It's a traditional music, so the connection of قدود حلبية, they call them mostly like it comes from Andalusiyat, and that comes from Spain, Andalusia. So the connection because the Muslim culture was in Spain for so long, so there's a lot of inspiration between the Muslim culture and the Spanish culture, and we have a lot of cross culture in there, especially music. So music lived and thrived throughout the ages in Aleppo and in Syria. And there's a lot of people through the Armenian music writer through the Ottoman Empire saved those pieces, the Andalusia pieces, and we kept playing them until today. So we're lucky that actually we have those pieces because some people wrote them down. Wow. And we have them until today. The big connection is like mosaic art, the Islamic art as well, and also the music is a big connection between Spain and Arab culture or Islamic culture more specifically.
Yeah. What was like a lot of the lyrical content of the music like? Was there any like themes that were kind of like prevalent throughout it?
So it's mostly poetic, very poetic. Sometimes it's very heavy Arabic, the closest way to put it, like you can call it the Shakespeare Arabic.
Yeah,
it's called Fusha, the classic Arabic. It's mostly in that, or sometimes in the accent of Aleppo, and sometimes it's twisted to the other accents. Some traditional pieces are even change the lyrics based on the event, what's going on.
Yeah.
If it's sad, if it's happy, if it's a wedding. So there's a lot of traditional music, like traditional music just went around the Levant area, not only in Syria. And it came mostly like from Aleppo, from the north of Syria.
Very interesting. And there was another maybe culture in the music. Was it Tarub or Tarub?
Tarab.
Tarab. What's Tarab?
So Tarab, the best way to explain it to people in English is euphoria that you get from music. It's a feeling. It's like you get the high from the music. So Tarab has a certain way of singing that not anyone can be. They call it mutrib. So you can call mughanni for a singer. Mm-hmm. That's a singer. But there's a mutrib. And mutrib is something different. He's supposed to take you to a different world with his voice or her voice. Yeah. Big names, Kulthum, Abdul Wahab, Abdul Halim, all of these people sang Tarab before. And Abdul Halim came with a new genre, but Abdul Wahab and Kulthum and Sabah Fakhri from my country, my city, are the biggest who sang Tarab and took you to that place, the euphoria of the voice. They take you to a different place.
It's like that's just so interesting to hear it from a different part of the world, because one thing about music for me specifically is in my own personal relationship, it does feel like you're traveling somewhere or like you're getting brought someplace else, but within yourself, you know. It's not like obviously I'm not going somewhere. And I think euphoria is a perfect word for that, honestly.
Yeah.
There was a couple, or is there anything else you want to talk about with CK music, or does that kind of like...
No, that's the only thing. It is a euphoria. Like what I meant by it, take you to another place, like metaphorically speaking. Yeah, exactly. You know, like it's just like it's a high, like especially like, let's say you smoke a joint, you get high. That's the same from this music. Tarab is the same. You listen to the music and you get high from this music.
That's beautiful, man. That's why I be getting high and listening to music. Allegedly, I ain't saying nothing, but there were some artists too I came across. I just wanted to shout out, or maybe you could break them down more. Noor Muhana.
Noor Mhanna is one of the most popular names in my city, and who sang a lot of tarab and a lot of his own style, also kind of music he made,
Did
like
you
very traditional pieces.
Were they performing live like ever in the city?
Yes, I remember I seen them live on TV a lot when I grew up. Like Noor Mhanna, especially, I saw him a lot, and Sabah Fakhri and Shadi Jamil. Those
Yeah,
three
that was the other
people.
name I had, Shadi Jamil.
Yeah, and those three people, like, I grew up listening to their music, and I just loved what they do, you know, and I always like was inspired by what they sing, even though like I went a different direction, hip hop, but there's still inspiration there, and that's why I kind of infuse that type of music in my music and my rap.
Yeah, man, that's amazing, yo. I appreciate the history lesson, yo, because I wanted to
Thank
talk
you.
about hip hop Shari. Did I pronounce that correctly?
Hip hop Shari.
Shari.
Yeah.
And was that like a mix of kind of your own influences in hip hop, and I believe it was Hakawati culture? Is that kind of what it is?
Yes.
Or obviously you should break it down more than I should.
No, thank you. Yeah, thank you for highlighting that. Hakawati culture is the storyteller. That's what it translates to. That Hakawati, the word Hakawati, is a storyteller. And there is a man who sits in cafes where people like smoke hookah, you call it here, you call it argile, and drink coffee or tea. And a man sit on a raised ornate chair with a fez and a traditional outfit, and he opened a book and he tells stories to people.
That's beautiful.
And the people will be engaged in the stories too. He doesn't need a microphone, he just like talk to people. So in the modern day, I'm kind of like the modern Hakawati, the neo Hakawati
Gotcha.
experience, but I'm telling stories from our day, like struggle that we lived, I experienced, or the youth. And in this case, when I infused the music, the Middle Eastern Qudud Halabiya and the Tarab music with rap, with live instrumentation, and I did that in Lebanon with about 8 musicians and a singer, and I was rapping as well. So I was the lead for that project, Bilad al-Sham movement. And so now, at this time now, like it just all came together as like the Hakawati with all of this. It became the hip hop Shari, the subgenre that I originated.
Is that like a term that you came up with?
Yes.
Nice.
Yeah.
What is like Sharia specific?
Shari means Eastern, you know,
yeah, yeah.
but like we use that, and sometimes they say they translate it Oriental as well, like Oriental music. The Shari music is very similar to Oriental, so if you listen to Middle Eastern music, it's very similar also to Oriental music. And one thing a lot of people also misunderstand or don't know, we are Asian. I am West Asian,
Yeah.
and a lot of people confuse this. Like they get confused. Where Asia is a big continent,
It's huge, yeah.
and the Middle East is part of it. So even my country actually was in the West Asian like basketball league. You know, so we are Asians, but we are West Asians. That's what they call us.
It's the biggest. I think Asia's the biggest continent, so there's just such a variety of just different countries and just culture in it.
Even the Middle East, I recently listened, but I don't remember exactly the story. Is a term came by white people, by the way, not the Middle Easterns themselves. Like we didn't come up with that. At the time, you know, like all of these colonies and stuff like happening wars back in the days. So there's people like what's going through past, and the only way to describe it there was like the Middle East. You know, like because it's in the middle of everywhere. You know, like
It's
that.
getting whitewashed, man.
Yep. But and even so, like there's a lot of things that you say here in English, the way you say it, but it's named different in like Syria. It's not Syria in our language. We don't call it Syria. It's Surya.
Syria.
And in Sanskrit it means sun. It translates to sun.
Oh.
So even Morocco, like my roommate Salam you met earlier, he's from Morocco. It's called Maghrib, and that means sunset. So the name of the country is actually Sunset. It's a beautiful name.
Yeah, it's a beautiful. I like
Yeah.
that more than Morocco.
Yeah.
Well, Morocco's a nice name too. It's got
Yeah.
the double C's. It's nice, but
Yeah, but it's the westernized name.
I mean, that's such a theme I think about just as a member of America. The westernization of what the world, like, well, at least when you're living in America, the westernization of the world that then gets passed down to like children in the education system is such a disservice, I think, to the actual like authenticity of the cultures you're speaking about. Because it's like, I mean, I don't know how much I can really speak on it because I haven't traveled in these parts of the world, but you just see this like, you know, almost like colonization of knowledge in a sense, where it's like a lot of Western white people have to put things in terms they understand to try and translate it to the masses. But I think if you just let people from certain areas represent themselves, it's very organic and easy to understand that way. So I do appreciate you breaking it down. There's so much to learn here, and I want to.
Oh, by the way, just like no offense to white when I say white people,
you can definitely
you know what I mean. You know, like it's just like it's at the time, even like Bilad al-Sham. By the way, Levant. Just to tell you, like Levant, Syria, Jordan, Lebanon, Palestine was called Bilad al-Sham. That's the name of my movement.
Yeah, I was gonna ask you about that.
It's unity through music because we can't be united anymore as countries. Those borders was made by white people back in the days in World War
Straight
II.
up.
Two generals from France and Britain, Sykes and Picot, their names, Sykes-Picot, that's what they call it, the agreement of Sykes-Picot. They split those four pieces to four pieces, and since then we have all of these Palestine problems and all of this, you know, like all of this stuff started because of that.
Yeah.
And you see, the history is all because we can't be connected anymore as countries. I'm showing unity through music.
Yeah, man.
And that's why the connection between the traditional and the rap, the new genre that was not accepted from a lot of people in my country. Because it's new, it's okay. Everything new people will be afraid of.
And was it more youthful in a sense too? Like was there more like younger people attached to hip hop, or was there any like older people kind of?
Of course, younger people.
Yeah.
Older people now, they start to ease up to it a little bit more because hip hop was, especially in Syria, I'm speaking about my country, like the Arab Spring, hip hop was a big part of it, you know, like a lot of rappers spoke and did a lot of raps. Like in Lebanon, there's a lot of revolutionary rappers who speaks for the country and for the people.
Yeah.
Big name is Bou Nasser, and I'm a big fan of him. His songs are played in protest. Like they put a big speaker and there's thousands of people rapping his lyrics word to word.
Hell yeah,
you know, that's big. When you see that, we were refused by people at the beginning. When I see people are like sending me messages, even if I'm not that big as other rappers in Syria, shout out to everyone, but I see people send me like a message, you make me feel better. Your music, you have no idea how much it changed in my life, and it makes me feel like related to what you talk about and the problems that you discuss. It represents the youth, and that means a lot. That worth a lot to me. Million views, billion views, or Grammys, or any of that.
That's genuine impact. You know,
that's
you're
genuine
touching people.
impact. You're touching people because there's a big, huge difference between fame and popularity. You know, you can be popular and people be influenced by you, and you can be famous by just taking your clothes off and running away in the street.
Yeah.
You know, for something stupid.
Yeah.
But and when you're popular, that means you have a little bit more impact on people, and that's what matters to me. I don't want fame. I want popularity. I want to be popular for my positive opinion and positive impact on the youth.
Yeah, man. I mean, that's what so much hip hop is about. Hip hop is a revolutionary force, in my opinion. I mean, hip hop is a direct mirror to how fucked up the American system is, and because, you know, obviously, like, you look at all these black artists in the 70s and 80s, you know, it's revolutionary. It's showing you how the system has failed on purpose to hurt certain people, and just seeing those themes carry over, you know, like you said, it's more about touching people, I think, than having, like, you know, a star on the Hollywood Walk of Fame or some bullshit like that. Just in my opinion, everyone has their own opinions, obviously, but you can't ever put a price tag on genuine connection and impact to the people you care about. And I respect that heavily.
Thank you. It's controversial when it comes to hip hop, you know. Like, I mean, I see Rakim until today rapping and rocking rhymes, you know, and I'm like, it gives me goosebumps.
Dude, Rakim.
To see Rakim, you know, like spitting bars today, you know, like that's very it brings life to me, you know, like it's just OGs that spit in bars. I love to listen to KRS-One preaching and speaking. He's a philosopher. He's amazing.
Like talking about revolutionary, man. KRS-One.
You see, like, I'm inspired by a lot of people in the hip hop culture as well. Like, shout out to that. Like, that's the whole reason why we have hip hop in Syria too. Is that these people who paved the road for us.
True that, man. What time period were you starting to get kind of your hip hop Shari ideas formulated and actually like on the ground?
A long time ago, actually, I started using that term hip hop shari. Since I started doing the Bilad al-Sham fusion, back in 2009, I think.
And this was obviously before you left Aleppo, right?
Yes, I was actually, and that's one of the reason why I left Aleppo, because I tried to talk to a lot of amazing musicians from Aleppo, but they didn't take me seriously because I was a rapper, and rapper was not a thing at the time.
More traditional music was popular.
Yes, so I was like, hey, let's mix the traditional with this, then the older people can listen to us, you know, and maybe ease up to rap a little bit. And I, not only that, but I think, because I have ideas, and I was thinking, you know, you always as an artist have a vision. But I learned from a friend, my friend Amir, he plays in Coyote Island. He told me once, and he told me this this advice, and it's right. Nobody cares about Assasi, the project, the rapper, the music, more than Assasi. And take that advice. It's not personal. And I was like, you're right. And I know that I believe it. It's right. But thank you for bringing it in words to me. And I always, like, you know, like, don't set a lot of expectations, like, smart, you know, like in things or in people or whatever, so you don't be disappointed. I learned that the hard way. So until I got to this point, I had a lot of trouble.
Yeah, you gotta take a couple L's to turn them into W's, right?
Yeah.
I read a pretty interesting story, a pretty heavy story. I believe you and your brother were watching the sky, and you thought you were seeing shooting stars, but they weren't actually shooting stars; they were missiles.
Yeah.
Was this around the same time period you kind of left Aleppo?
Yes.
Do you want to talk on that, or like kind of what that time was like?
No, definitely. Now it's safe to talk. You know, like before, I will never ever talk about this. This is, I think, the first time I talk openly about this, because this is the first interview I done after Syria was freed from the savage Assad regime. We were sitting on the balcony smoking hash, me and my brother hashish.
Yeah.
Yep. And we were like just high, and I just like look at this guy, and I was like, oh look, it's a shooting star. It's like, we call it shab, نجم شهاب بالعربي. He was like, look, نجم شهاب. And he was like, oh yeah, we just saw it. After 5 seconds we hear like a sound, like a, you know. I'm like, that's weird. And we saw another one, and I'm like, here's another one. And like, at the second one, we start realizing, because we're high, and we were just like thinking this is shooting stars. I was like, maybe this is shooting stuff. I was like, oh my god, we just like watching one side of Aleppo bombing the other side of Aleppo, and we thought it's shooting stars. And I was like, we just kept smoking. One of these maybe like can land on us, and we're totally fine. We're just enjoying the last moments.
That's some good hashish right there, man.
But actually, technically, the building next to our building, after I left Syria, got bombed. Like, one of the missiles fell next to our building. So we were safe, and the people were not living there at the time. It
wasn't that woman in your neighborhood you were making the mixtapes for, right?
No. That was in another neighborhood. Right, she's safe.
That's good. I guess, then talk on your time, like, leaving Syria and leaving Aleppo. Like, what was that process like? Because I believe, did you go to Lebanon after that?
Yes, it was chaotic at the time, because I was afraid of a lot of things, like what's gonna happen. I finally was able to sample Arabic music and get a singer, and I recorded an album. And the whole thing happened very quick. You know, I did not plan actually to leave Syria, because before I tried to leave Syria to go to Lebanon, it fails when I actually planned. And then actually, you see, again, we talked about expectations. If you set expectations, it won't happen.
That's true, yeah.
So I wasn't even setting expectations. I was going to Lebanon for 2 days only to do castings for Arabs Got Talent. Like, AGT.
Yeah.
We have AGT, but the Arabs Got Talent. Yeah, the Arab version. So I was just doing it for an exposure at the time. And I got a deal because the microphone I had the Neumann 102 at the time, but I didn't have any equipment to record with it. And that microphone I got from my friend's dad, friends who passed away, Khalid. He's the founder of Bilad al-Sham movement.
Got you.
And I'm the co-founder of it. So he gave me that microphone and his keyboard, 5-octave keyboard, it's Kawai K1. It's one of the first Kawais. It's his keyboard when he was a baby. I still have it.
Wow.
Traveled the whole world with me. I still have it at my home here in Bedford.
Man.
And the microphone at the time, I just went to the studio. Hassan Reyes, his name. He's a musician. He plays trumpet. I was like, this is the microphone. I have an album, 7 tracks. What can we do? Like, can you buy this from me? Can you, like, I want to also record the album on this microphone because it means a lot to me. And he was like, here's the deal. I'll give you some money back. I'll take the microphone, but you have 1 day to record the whole album.
That's pressure.
I was like, what? It's like, come on. I was like, 1 day and I'll do the mix for you. And I was like, all right. So we practiced for 2 days, and we went there and we nailed it down. 7 tracks, one record. I mean, I didn't have a voice after that, but we did it, and I think we did a record, like record a whole album in 1 day, and then I had the mix of the album on my laptop, and that's everything I own. That's my worth, you know, like that's it, my album. And I was like, I have no chance to put it on CDs or anything, or produce it or publish it here in Syria. The war just started, this revolution. Yeah. And I was like, I'm gonna go cast for Arabs Got Talent. Put a backpack. I went there for 2 days.
That's in Lebanon, correct?
In Lebanon, Beirut. Yeah, that's like kind of the capital of events, like stuff like that happens around the Levant area. Yeah. So I went there, and we did the casting. They were happy with it. And after that, I met skateboarders and BMX riders. I love BMX as well. I was like riding with them and talking to them, and they were like, "Why don't you stay here?" I was like, "I can't. Came here to visit. I have only clothes and money for 2 days." Yeah. So like, if I find you a job, would you stay? I was like, "I don't have a place to stay." I was like, "That's only a thing I can help you." I was like, "Yeah." Found a job as a runner, $350. That's nothing.
Yeah, because you working at a restaurant and sleeping on the sidewalk?
Yes, and that was like, and then I start sleeping on the sidewalk because it was summer. I didn't care. It was like, you know, like I was young, just wanted to leave. It was depressing back in Syria.
Yeah,
you know?
It sounds like a very like an intense situation.
Yeah, so I slept on the sidewalk, go shower at my friend's place. You know, like. You know, here and there, just like struggling, you know, street life. And at that corner where I used to sleep, that's where I met all the musicians that I worked with.
Wow.
So they come there. It's called, the place, it's in Hamra Street in Beirut, and it's called Domtex. It's a towels place, like a, you know, like a rope bath and stuff like that. Very fan. Yeah. But they close at 6 p.m. or like that's at 7 p.m. Yeah. And after that, we just like sit there, we jam. People bring like beers or whatever, and we're just like playing music and jamming.
Just right in the street. Just.
Yeah, and police sometimes comes, give us shit, we run away.
Yeah. What were the police like? Would they like ever like lock people up or?
Well, the situation in Lebanon was like, is run by parties. So each area has a party that runs it.
Gotcha.
There is a police, but they don't have a lot of power as much as the parties, and if that makes sense.
Yeah, I can see that.
So yeah, as long as we're not hurting anyone, people didn't care. Yeah. You know, like we're just jamming and playing music. If the neighbors was like, you know, complaining, then we have to leave. Sometimes we get very loud. Yes, a lot of musicians, like an orchestra. Yeah, like 6, 7, 8 musicians playing and rapping and singing.
Yeah, I can get loud pretty quick, bro.
So at the time, I told them I have this idea in Syria, and nobody was taking me seriously to do it. What do you think? And they were like, "Well, honestly, Assasi, we don't like hip hop," and that was the answer.
Damn, like, straight up.
But you know what? We love jamming with you, and we can try. We did the first show at a place called Te Marbuta with the help from the community, and the capacity was 100. We almost sold out. We had 92 people.
Wow. The first show.
First show.
That's good.
And it was amazing. I filmed it. I'm gonna share it soon on YouTube. It was amazing. It was just like euphoria, you know, like euphoria. It was euphoric feeling at that time. I got the high from just performing and just like, and my dad was there at the time, you know, like that was my dad, the first actually birth of this Bilad al-Sham. My dad witnessed it, and he was dancing and having fun with it. Amazing. My dad was like the number one enemy for my music career, you know.
And then here he is watching
And
you.
here he is, he's dancing and
Damn,
having
man.
fun. So because I mix the traditional music and all of that and music that he's familiar with.
Yeah.
So that was like the trick in there that I used also. Is that not only my love for this music to infuse it with rap, is also like to get the older generations to listen to rap.
Yeah,
and
it seems
accept
like your culture specifically in Aleppo that you were, whether it's musically or kind of just like maybe what the certain neighborhoods you're from, that's always been like a theme or a thread throughout the music as well to kind of like, you know, show homage to the past while creating your own future in a sense.
Mm.
Did you meet somebody important when you were in Lebanon as well that has ties to Maine?
Yes, my ex-wife was from Maine, and I met her at the time. We played music together a lot, and the story continues that because that's how I ended up in Maine, because she wasn't from Maine.
Was she like a teacher or something, or?
She was teaching at the time in there, like just having any job, you know, like at the time, young, you know, like thirsty for being cultured and going around the world.
Mm-hmm.
And I met her at the time in there, and she came to one of my shows actually, and that's how I met her the first time.
Wow, so you never would have be here in this futon in Maine if you didn't do those shows in Beirut, right? That's wild, man.
But now, like, I'm with my partner Jenny, and she's an amazing artist on her own right too. And she inspires me a lot actually, and she helped me a lot with the Hakawati project, with the hip hop Shoutout, by the way. Like the props and the cane and everything that I have around me, the Middle Eastern looking stuff. She got it from me, you know, like she's
That's
the
amazing.
one who she's the sponsor for all the antiques and my props.
Like a production designer,
Yeah.
almost in a sense.
And she gives me a lot of advices in my career. Like, I appreciate her, you know.
That's huge, yo. Shout out that, man. Shout out the good people in our lives watching out for us.
Yeah, shout out to Jenny.
I guess we could try. I mean, it must have been extensive travels and waiting periods, but I want to almost just bridge the gap from that time to getting into Maine. It looks like you did some other travels, maybe like India, Nepal, Malaysia. Is that correct?
Yeah, you know what was... I just want to mention this. There's a lot of people like say, oh, you were cultured, oh, you traveled. Yeah, it was fun, but I had no choice.
Yeah.
You know, I was Syrian. And we were talking about traveling a little bit before we start rolling the camera. A lot of people here are privileged because of that, and they don't know that. Like, you can go to any place you want. Because I was Syrian, I was thrown to multiple places. Like, even my mom was the other day. It was like, you went to India. It's like, why? Why would you think I went it? Like, why you think that I have a chance in India?
Yeah.
It's just, I mean, like, no offense, India is an amazing place, but like, I am an Arab rapper, you know, like, and I'm going to India, you know, like, there's nothing about my culture in there.
Yeah.
You know, like, if I'm going to the West, at least like US or something, I can find a place where
hip-hop is from the West, at least,
yeah, but like not in Maine, definitely. You know, I ended up in Maine, the least cultured place. No offense.
No, none taken, yo.
Yeah, but like, you see, but I mean, I can go to more places but like, I was thrown from a place to another, and the most hard thing is that you have to start from the scratch from each place you're gonna go to, and each place you're leaving, you don't have enough notice. Like, when I left Nepal, it was like 1 week. You have to wrap up everything, all projects I start, YouTube show, everything.
People you might have met too.
Yeah, I wrapped up everything. I didn't finish everything. I just left.
Is that I mean, I don't want to like put any words like in your mouth, but is there a sense of like, maybe not displacement, but it's like you can't go to really your home. You keep on having to kind of get pushed everywhere. Like, what's that like on the spirit? It must be tough, I imagine.
Yeah, and a lot of people is like, why don't you go back home? Or like, are you wanted? Or it's like, there's a lot of things that I can't go back home. So even though I didn't go speak out on interviews out loudly about my political opinion, my family is still in Syria, and I did still songs that kind of, you know, hitting lines, you know, like talking about the regime and how savage it, like the one Sawarikh we mentioned a little bit ago, was talking also about, in the song, I was talking about that experience when we thought this is shooting stars, and also I'm talking about how I was arrested for being a Satanist. I was accused for being a Satanist, and even though Syria is a secular country, and it was a whole messed up story. Just because I'm a hip hop artist, I was arrested, and I was beaten and brutally was treated like that. And I went to mandatory military service, and I was arrested in military prisons. Like they call the prison that I went to. A lot of people like don't believe that I went out alive,
Really?
because they did like big massacres in there, massacres in there. And I was lucky that I got alive. I was there for a month.
That's traumatic, yo.
And because I paid a lot of money, I was able, my dad was paying a lot of money to get me out. But there's multiple situations that you get in, and then when you get out, you can't speak about your opinion because you'll be selfish. Your family is still there.
And their safety is important.
Their safety is very important to me. My mom is number one to me. My siblings, my dad. I don't want anyone to be hurt from my family. So I will be selfish if I'm expressing my opinion politically, and then my family get hurt back in Syria.
That's fucked up.
And a lot of people don't understand that. Like now, I'm speaking for my community, and I'm like raising my voice for problems and for positive things and whatever. And I still get people like, "Is that the guy who wasn't talking when the?" And we just accuse each other, there's those fingers that we point at each other. And the only thing I fear when I see that is that this is the youth. Most of my listeners are between 16 and 24.
Yeah.
And if this is the mindset that they have and the mentality, who's going to build Syria? We're just focusing on pointing at each other. You don't know anything about my personal life. You have no idea what I went through. Like a lot of other Syrians. So don't assume just because I'm a popular artist and I go out, this is what you see in there.
Yeah, that's just one part of you,
Yeah, that's not everything.
Wow. Just interesting. It's just the different lives we all live in. Like you said, there's so much privilege, especially in a white-ass place like Maine. There's just so many realities people like myself don't even think about enough, in terms of just the multiple lives people live in different parts of the world, in a sense, and the dangers that we have to be aware of, It's just, again, I appreciate all the just accounts of, all the stories. It's just, that's why we do this podcast, man. We want to open up people in Maine to just different people's backgrounds and things we all go through to get here now. So I appreciate that. Before we get to the United States, one more question about kind of, I think specifically in your time in Malaysia, did you meet any rappers from Finland?
Yes. So another point I want to point out from this is that even though I'm starting from the scratch, is that most thing is that you make the best of it.
Yeah.
As much as you can, Malaysia was the most depressing place for me. So actually, the song that I made in Nepal was my breakout song in my career, The Blue Giant.
Yeah.
And I filmed it. Anjay was the director. He's Nepali, and he supported me, and some friends supported me in there, to make the music video. I made it 1 week before I left Nepal because I was forced to.
Yeah.
Because they stopped giving visa on arrival to Syrians. It was like, I'm the only Syrian who lives here in Nepal. It's like, I don't, it was like unlucky, very unlucky
you
person.
Just get kicked out. You got 1 week.
Yeah, and then I experienced earthquake right one day before.
That was then?
Yeah.
Oh,
no, not that big earthquake. There's a lot of earthquakes happen in Nepal. Yeah,
Gotcha.
there's one I experienced was 5.7 magnitude.
That's still pretty big.
Huge. I was in a small room. You could have died, if you don't escape on time.
That's scary shit.
You only have seconds. But the thing is, I experienced an earthquake right when I filmed The Blue Giant. We went back, we're seeing what we filmed. It was a one-shot video, not directed. And then I was like, we felt the earthquake. I was like, just wait until tomorrow. I'm leaving. I'm leaving again, I'm leaving in danger with one material of music is the same as Syria. I finally reached I'm finishing an album after 2 fails, 2 albums went to trash. And then I left, and then now in Nepal, I made my breakout song from my album, my new album, and then I had to leave. Then I wrapped my laptop with my music video and left to Malaysia.
You just keep going. You're resilient.
Kept going, but in Malaysia it was very depressing. It's more, Kathmandu was more cultured. Yes, it's touristic, but Malaysia was more in the sense of it's more plastic, like Dubai.
Yeah,
you
yeah.
know, like Emirates.
Like
No offense to Emirates,
artificial
you know?
almost. in a sense.
Artificial, everything, like, you know, and even the music scene is superficial a little bit in there. More like I'm a rock star, I'm a rap star. I try to reach rappers, but you know, like the ego, and it's not the same as in Kathmandu.
Interesting.
In Kathmandu, I was very welcomed from the rap scene. I was
cool.
respected. I was like different, but yeah, you're welcome. Come here, spit bars in Arabic. Wow, that's amazing. You know, and I was like listening also to Nepali rappers, like, and I rapped with the Nepali rapper.
That's really cool.
I did a song with Giris, the first rapper in Nepal. It's called "We Taken Over." And I got popular in Nepal. I was like, it's like
That's wild.
Even the music video I did, the Blue Giant. So here's a funny story. My friend is a Palestinian rapper. I put him in connection. He was going to Kathmandu to film and do stuff. So he went, met new people that I didn't introduce him to. And he was like, oh, my friend came here and filmed the music video, like, show us. And I was like, oh, yeah, we know him, Assasi Dai. So Dai means big brother. He was like, Assasi Dai, we know him. Like, we know he did the song with Giris. And people start to know, like, I had some popularity in Nepal, which is weird.
Yeah. You weren't even there for that long, right?
1 year, almost like 10 months. And then when I went to Malaysia, my producer, Backstack, who did the Blue Giant, he was like, he have a music collective called Outellectuals, and he was like, I work with these rappers, and I just like heard that they're going somewhere, but if you're in Malaysia, they're willing to change their direction and come meet you there and work with you. I was like, that's amazing. They will save my life right now because I'm so depressed.
Yeah, you gotta get that out.
So shout out to Marlena Ariana and Smo. They came and saved my life with that project because I was so depressed. And we worked on The Ghost of Sham from my album Third Worldwide. And it was an amazing experience. I directed the music video. Marlena and Smo co-directed with me. And it was just like a great experience to work with something like even a different language. I'm always interested to work with different languages. So Finnish, yes, it's like insisting everything to be in Finnish and my part to be in Arabic, and we did it. And it took so long to produce the song and get it out, but we got it out finally, and we were satisfied with the results. And yes,
Wow, so many stories. I feel like I just keep talking about your time in like just all different parts of Asia, but I am from Maine. This is my area, and I think it'd be interesting to hear some of kind of your first impressions about Maine and stuff like that. So, how did you then like arrive in Maine? Was it through like was it your ex-wife you said?
yes, I came here on a spouse visa, so I had to go through hell as well, you know, like, and we had like papers like this, and I had to come like y'all, like, you all don't know and have no idea about how Syrian coming to US as a spouse visa is like I had to carry a big what do you call it, X-ray of my torso,
Like an
sealed,
X-ray?
yeah, sealed, and have like a doctor. I can't open it with me in the airplane and come in here. Like, seriously, it's this big. Like, I'm carrying something this big, and then I have like the files. I'm not exaggerating. It's this much. Like, it's so heavy. I put it like this on the front of them, and the officer is like, "Whoa." It's like, well, yeah, you asked for all of this, so it's like, give me some time to review this. It's like, yeah, I'm here all day. It was. We chose at the time to come to Boston Logan Airport,
Logan.
because at the time we heard it was the easiest on immigration and immigrants, because that was the time when Trump just became a president.
2016.
And then when he did the Muslim ban.
Yeah.
And
Oh, gee, yeah. I
that
forgot
affected
about
my
that.
visa, by the way. I was in Malaysia. That's why I was telling you it was very depressing.
That is extremely depressing.
When I was working with Marlena, Ariana, and Smo, and at the time I woke up in the guest house in the morning and everyone was looking at me with a sad face. I was like, sorry, dude. I was like, what's going on? Who
that's a
died?
fucked
What's
up
going
way
on?
to wake up.
And I was like, you didn't hear like Trump did the Muslim ban and your country is on it. I immediately lost my mind. I called the embassy. I was like, here's my case number. I was like, your case is on hold until a further notice.
Damn.
Like, so you see, like, the whole, And so that's why I was very afraid to come here. Like every time I'm moving from a place, there's a tragedy has to
Yeah,
happen for
man.
Syrians, like that. It makes it more difficult for
And there's
them.
already so much Islamophobia and just like, I
Yeah.
mean, in my opinion, bigotry and white supremacy in America. So when the president's emboldening that, it's like I can't even imagine what that feels like. Yo.
Yeah, so I had to come, but they were actually very nice at the airport. Even the officer, who was a female officer, and she shook my hand and she was like, "Thank you for coming to the United States. You're welcome here."
Wow.
And that means a lot. Like even if it's a word, but it meant a lot to me because I did not feel welcome
Yeah.
anywhere I went. Like everyone was like giving me a hard time or stopping giving me a visa or oh you're Syrian. Even when I went to the for the Indian visa, I was treated very badly, like shit, in
Damn,
the
man.
from the Indian consulate in Beirut. He threw the papers in my face and was like, "You're wasting my time." So yeah, being a Syrian is not easy, and a lot of people like, what does that even mean? Or a lot of people ask me naive questions. Can't you bring your mom here? It's like, oh, I never thought of that. Yeah, I would love to, but I can't. It's impossible. They
Mm.
put a lot of rules and restrictions and like to get your parents here. And I didn't see my mom for 10 years.
Damn, man. What's that like?
A lot because I feel like me and Salam, my roommate, we were having this conversation earlier because we can relate to that. And I'm not saying that to. I don't feel like the relationship between mother and son is the same as in the West.
Mm.
There's a different concept here. I don't
Mm.
know if that makes sense. Like I hear a lot of people here like, "Oh, I'm 18, I'm independent now. Like, my mom has problems. That's her own problems. She's
Mm.
dealing with it." Like you hear
There,
that a
there
lot.
is an interesting phenomenon that I don't personally relate to in America, where it's like sometimes it's like you just straight detach and almost don't see people don't see like their parents as a reflection of them. It's almost like they're their own person and you're on your own once I have my freedom. But it's like, well, no. I mean, like I even think about not to interrupt you, but just
Yeah, no, no.
how in certain cultures throughout the world, families will live together like in the same house. You know, you'll have grandparent, parents, children. A lot of times in America, motherfuckers turn 18 and just dip out and like say fuck
Yeah.
off to their parents. And I don't know if that kind of touches upon what you're talking
Yeah,
about.
no, definitely. We stay living with our parents until you get married, and then you get your own house
Mm,
because that's when you need privacy, and you
mm,
start your own family, and then your kids will live with you the
yeah.
same way until they get married. That's the tradition. It's not weird in Syria.
No, that seems beautiful to me.
Yeah.
I mean, family is very important to me. So
Yeah, it's weird actually. If I'm 20 years old and I'm like living by myself, is like, why you're
what's
living?
wrong
It's
with you?
suspicious, like what are you a serial killer or something? Like nobody will like. It's weird in my culture. So the connection between us and our mom, and especially my mom. My mom was a big supporter in my
Mm,
career, like in everything I did in my life.
mm,
Shout out to my mom, Hella. Her name is Hella. I love you so much. Um, uh, she is my number one inspiration in life. Like I never had a father figure growing up. My dad was very tough on me. We
mm,
didn't have a great relationship. So I didn't have a father figure in my life. My mom was the father figure and the mother figure. So I
mm.
learned how to be strong from my mom. A lot of people was like, how you're strong, how you're resilient like that, because my mom was always there in my ear telling me keep going.
Yeah,
No matter
it's
what, keep going.
powerful.
So that's why the relationship between mother is kind of like, I'm not saying that it's always like this. Yeah, there is in the West some like in the Middle East, but it's more like that, the relationship in there. Here, like, oh, my mom has problems. She have a lot of debt. She's dealing with that. Like, if my mom had a debt, I'm paying it.
Yeah,
Like
I'm giving her an envelope.
yeah, and I'm dealing with that, or I'm trying to help her somehow. Like even my mom is not happy. I can tell she's not happy when I'm
Mm,
talking to her,
mm.
even though she's saying I'm okay, and vice versa. So that's why the connection between moms and parents in general, but especially moms and an Arab mom and an Arab son is different than the West world, if
Yeah.
that makes sense.
No, it makes 100% sense. Shout out the loving moms who are there, man. I love my mom too. I ain't shit without my mom, and I think about that every day. How lucky I am to have my mom. Just I relate to like the strength. Like so much of my strength comes from my mother too, and I don't think I'd be even like a quarter of the person I am if I didn't have her guidance. So I do relate to that heavily. What was your first impressions of Maine like? Did you go right from Logan to Maine after you landed, or what was kind of the?
Yes, we came actually. We came to Portland first thing
Got you.
because we went to Bangor. That's where I lived first, and we came to Portland and we went to Duck Fat.
That's some pretty good French fries.
Very first main experience. It was like, yeah, I'm hungry and let's go. We got Duck Fat French fries. They were amazing, and I got panini Duck Fat something at the time, and they had like it was great experience. So yeah, that was like the first.
That's
experience.
a good first impression, I guess. Was it like? I mean, it's kind of like a cheesy phrase, but like, was there any kind of culture shock being here, or like?
Definitely, because the first time I went to Millinocket, it was my ex-wife's father. He he lives 10 miles out of Millinocket.
That's kind of in the middle of nowhere.
Yeah, he was literally in the middle of nowhere. So he took me out one time and he was like, "You want to go to downtown?" I was like, "Yes, downtown. Let's go to downtown. I'm excited and let's go." And we went, and then he parked somewhere. He was just like, like it looks like a neighborhood.
Yeah.
And there's nobody in there. And it was like, all right, we're here. I was like, this is downtown? And it was like, it was Saturday night at 7 p.m. There was not a soul in the street.
Shit can get so like downtown Millinocket probably has like nothing going. I mean, there's probably little things, but like I doubt it's at all like anything you were probably hoping it'd be.
So yeah, it was a culture shock for me because there's no people in Maine.
There's a lot of empty space out here.
Man, I'm coming from Aleppo. The population of Aleppo is 4 million. That's twice as the population of
the
Maine.
whole state, yeah, bro.
Yeah, so
how big is Aleppo, like square mileage, or like could you relate it to like an American city just for like a metric?
I'm not
size-wise?
sure. I did recently on Google like measure it. I think Syria is I can't. I don't remember exactly, but Syria is big, man. It's very big. I mean, we have enough. It's very condensed place, but it's not like condensed as India.
Yeah.
Or China. No way like that. 4 million people, but you don't feel like 4 million people.
You got a little bit more space.
Yeah.
But maybe not as much space as Maine.
Man, you have more space here. You need more immigrants, definitely.
I agree with
here
that.
in Maine, you need more immigrants.
1000%,
you need more
man.
people in here.
America isn't anything without immigrants, in my opinion. I guess we could talk about like culture shock stuff, but I mean, I think I'm already kind of getting a gist that it's a very different place out here than to where you grew up. I want to almost now talk about more of the music culture, though. It's hard enough for people like myself out here in Maine to kind of find connection and passion in like the hip hop world. So as an immigrant out here, what was it like when you were trying to find like connection to the music? Was it a difficult like transition at all?
Definitely. It's still difficult. I still can't find musicians, like Middle Eastern musicians, to play with me. Like it's fair. There's only few that I know already, and it's hard to work with them because they have their own schedules and their own lives and their own projects. So they can't be committed to my project. Again, nobody cares about Assasi's project more than Assasi.
Yeah.
So I totally respect that, like as they also care about their own projects or their own lives. So it's hard. Versus when you are in a place like have more Arabs and more musicians, then you can, like have more people. So it's been difficult for me here living. And also like I got press only because I'm Arab, I feel. Like that's it. Like most of the time. No offense to you.
No,
like, I'm talking in general.
That's a very valid point though. Like people like, I mean, not to sound maybe like offensive, but like this person's different. We want to highlight them to see like we care about diversity.
And we show culture in Maine, and definitely. And I think the only few platforms that they wanted to do that, they already haven't had me, and that's it. And I feel like they had what they wanted. You know, like
they got their story from like a Syrian artist. They can check it off and feel like they did something. But
yeah, and I'm not specifying any press, like because I got like I was on Maine Public, like on NPR, and
I think that's where I found a lot of the information from. To be honest with that,
probably, yeah. It was an amazing. It was an amazing interview. It was an amazing coverage. Very professional, but in general, like I'm just talking like it just feels like there's an undertone from that is that because you're Arab. Like even recently, I'm facing problem with an organization here in Maine because they're booking another artist.
Mm-hmm.
He's exactly copying my music style,
Damn.
just to the T. You know, like even like it's so funny that there's when they booked him, they were telling people here that know me about him, and they was like, "Oh yeah, we know him, Assasi," and they were like, "No, no, not Assasi. That's a different person."
They were confusing the two.
They were confusing, like they thought that they're talking about me as that much, just describing without knowing. And I reached out to them, and they were like, "Oh, sorry," and they gave the artist like 2 days to perform. You know, like they could have given me 1 day and 1 day. You know, like because I'm not even getting anything in here. That's like kind of my state. You know, they're getting a different artist from a different state who's doing exactly what I'm doing. So I reached out to them, and they were like, "Oh, please keep this between us." That was before New Year. Keep this between us 1 week, and then we were like, we'll talk about it. And I was like, I'm not gonna talk to any press or anything about it. I'll trust this. And they just ghosted me.
That's about right. That does happen quite a bit out here.
I reached out, called multiple times, like, hey, I'm following up about this. You told me to keep it between us. The show is not coming yet, but I'm kind of at a point I'm gonna go talk about this because that's my career and that's my image. And the guy is like obviously capitalizing on hip hop shorty and calling it something different. So it's a bummer, especially coming from another Syrian artist who lives in the West.
Damn. Well, I'm sorry to hear that, brother.
So yeah, you see, like I'm struggling, kind of like living here in Maine, like trying to thrive as an artist, but like I don't get a lot of shows or a lot of things. I only got press for 2 years. I was hot here because Arab artist is doing an album release or whatever, and that's it. Like now, I don't find anyone care about anything I'm doing in my music career.
Damn, man. Has there been any kind of like performances or moments in Maine that kind of made you feel like, oh, I have somewhat of a positive vibe here, or has it been kind of mostly
Definitely. Definitely. I got positive vibes and I got some good shows. I'm not gonna like say everything was negative here.
Yeah.
I'm just saying after 8 years, you know, I'm giving you just now my perspective in general.
Well, that's important too. I want to hear about them. Like the reason why I have this podcast and like it's just me. Like it ain't no motherfucking sponsors, ain't no radio station, ain't no TV station, ain't no newspaper, ain't no corporation. It's just me. I want artists like yourself who are living out here in Maine to be able to just be 100 and be truthful, because we're not trying to like create narratives. We're trying to put the truth out there. That's what journalism is, in my opinion, at least. So I appreciate like you talking about the negatives, because I don't want just fake bullshit. Like motherfuckers got to know what the truth is, in a sense.
Yeah, and like I hope if these people or this organization, they're listening to this, they take this as a lesson. Like this is not professional, and especially when you come like, especially like. The director of that organization told me, like, I actually, after I booked this person, I heard your name a lot. Like, it's like, okay, so that means that, you know, like, this person you're getting is actually really, I'm telling the truth here. I'm not telling you, like, I'm not bullshitting here. This person is really copying what I'm doing. And he even called that person, by the way, the guy, the artist himself, and he gaslighted me the whole time. And he was like, I'm not copying anything, and you didn't originate anything. It's like, well, damn. Like, well... if you're gonna keep going like this, I'm gonna diss you then. Like, just write a diss track about you with your name on it and go hip hop about it.
That's what I mean. That's what shit's about, man. KRS-One, MC Shan, man. The bridge is over, bro. I remember that.
Yeah.
Did you want to shout out any like moments where you felt like you kind of had?
Yeah, I did have.
You don't have to either.
No. I did have a great performance with ILAP organization. They invited me. They was very respectful. And I felt like respected as an artist, as an Arab artist, and where I come from. That's very important for me. There's a lot of people will book me and don't know my background or my, you know, like my culture or anything, so they won't be mindful of certain things. They were very mindful, very professional. They paid me well, you know. Like
that's huge too, man. Motherfuckers expecting just you to do a show without getting compensation. That's don't get me started.
No. I'm gonna get there. Just wait for me. I'm gonna get there. ILAP, shout out to them. And what they do, the goal of the organization is very important. They help like in immigration mostly, you know, like so. It was perfect place for me to be.
Awesome.
And there's also I believe it was South Portland High School. I did the World's Immigrant Day performance 2 days for junior and junior and senior. And anytime I'm doing something for education, I'm very nervous, especially when they're teenagers. You know, like you don't know how they're gonna take it.
It's a tough crowd,
but they were amazing.
That's awesome.
You know, like, and that was a very positive experience. And I did some of the hakawati, you know, like the hip hop shari, like the hakawati as well. Told them some stories behind the line.
Storytelling, you said, right? Hakawati.
Yeah. So what I do is that in this case, because I'm rapping in Arabic, the stories will be in English behind the lines. What the song is about in general. So there's an experience behind each song that I'm writing, and there's a story behind it.
It's even kind of like some journalism in a sense, if you think about it.
Yeah.
You're breaking down the story, but also, reflecting yourself in your...
It's kind of I am the genius.com, but live, you know?
Just to be breaking down the lyrics. I got you. We've talked about this too, but how important, is honoring where you're from, like in your style, even just not even musically, but like in your clothing and like your appearance, even like you have I think the earring of the fez, or is it a tarbouche?
Tarbouche, yeah, that's the other name.
Yeah, how important is like just representing yourself, not just musically, but even like with the clothing to you? Like, is your artistry just all parts of you in a sense?
So, in the presence of a North African man here in a room, I have to talk about the history of the fez.
Yeah.
It actually, it's not Syrian. It comes from North Africa.
My mistake.
No. A lot of people mistake that even from Syria. They think it's Syria or Turkish. Gotcha. It's not Turkish. It's from North Africa, actually, comes. And there's actually a city in Morocco. It's called Fez City. And wow. Like they're famous of making fizzes. And I'm actually working with an artist who's making a mask fizz, like a what do you call it, balaclava? Yeah. Balaclava mask with a fizz.
That'd be unique. I ain't seen that before.
Yeah. Shout out to Karim. He lives in Fez City. So
right from the city.
Yeah,
man.
yeah.
Wow.
So the fizz comes from there, but the Ottoman Empire took it from the North African.
Got you.
And they've been ruling us for 400 years in Syria. So the Ottoman Empire all wear the fizzes, and back in the days to fit in us, like because when you have an occupier, you can't do anything, like other than fitting in at this time. So the fit in, the man was wearing a fizz, and a lot of time it's a sign of honor for a man. Like you can't come, as here it's disrespectful to come and touch someone's hat. It's very disrespectful to come like someone saying the fez. Hey, can I see your fez? I like slap people on their hand. It's like you can't.
Motherfuckers try and touch the fez when you're wearing it?
Yeah. Even in Middle East, because they think, like I was like, you don't know the history of this. You should know better because you're Arab.
Personal space. Just don't be touching motherfuckers.
Like even imagine you're wearing a cap, not a fez. Like it's just disrespectful to reach someone's hat.
I don't want nobody touching me unless I know them and give them permission, bro.
So, it becomes like as a sign of like fitting in, but like again, it's kind of it became derogatory to me, like as to Syrians. So I'm wearing it as like, here we go. I'm not ashamed of this. This is our culture, and I'm also like here to tell the story where the fez actually comes from. I'm not claiming it. We are Syrians. It's ours. It's good to tell the story where it comes from and be truthful. And the scarf that you see on my shoulder represent hardworking. So as a young child, I was like kind of child labored. I worked a lot in my summer break. I worked very heavy jobs,
like physical labor,
very hard jobs for the kids to do. So I always see the other workers, the adults, like wearing the Palestinian kufiya, like wearing it on their head to protect themselves from the sun, or putting it on their shoulder to wipe their sweat. And I always wanted one, but I didn't have one, and I was working hard and sweating. So when I got older, it represent how my resilience and how hard worker I am. And that's why I put the scarf, but it has to be like patterned and represent my culture. So the main 2 scarves that I wear is from Damascus. I bought them from Damascus before I left.
Oh, so it's actually like a piece of home in a sense. Yeah,
it's a piece of home. So it's always on my shoulder, on my left shoulder. And the blazer I rock, it's the black one. I always wear it for the hakawati. It's my dad's wedding blazer.
Wow.
It's from the 80s. It's still surviving. It's I believe it's Christian Dior. So it's it's fancy, it's high fashion. So I still wear that. my dad was the same size as me when he was young, so
That's clutch.
it fits me. And also it has those like what do you call them? The shoulders.
Shoulder pads.
Shoulder pads.
Yeah.
They don't have those anymore in
You
suits.
can't.
Like,
That was
and
an
like,
80s special.
Yeah, 80s special. So it looks very nice and have that vintage vibe. Represent where I come from.
You have a very striking, like, you know, stage presence with your appearance. Like I said, it's not just the music, but it seems like there's meticulous purpose behind your wardrobe as well. And I do appreciate, you know, the history lesson about it too.
So the cane also added later. I always wanted my grandfather's cane because he had like great canes, but they're all shattered, and my uncles took them, you know, like between. But I couldn't get hold of one. But I always wanted a cane. So the cane, in history, represent wealth. Oh. You know, like wealthy man have a cane, even if you don't need a cane to walk.
It's a symbol, like a status symbol.
It's a symbol. But my wealth is my struggle. How much times I fell and stood up again. So that's the cane that represents that metaphor, era. I'm kind of flipping the meaning of the wealth. I'm wealthy money-wise. I have a lot of money. No, I'm wealthy here because I fell a lot and I stood up again. So that represents that struggle.
It's beautiful.
Thank you.
Learning a lot. We're appreciative of it. How long do you think we've been talking for?
I don't know.
An hour, 10 minutes.
Oh,
that's pretty good, yo. We're gonna keep it going though. How you feeling? You feeling good, Twigs? Thumbs up from the cameraman. Can we talk about Third Worldwide Volume 1? That's your first project, your first album, correct?
My first solo album.
So yeah.
Yes. Third Worldwide. It was supposed to be a whole album, and I started in Kathmandu with the Blue Giant.
Yeah, that's where you shot the video there.
Yes,
right?
I shot the video there. But again, working on an album is not easy. Also, it's
a lot.
It's a lot of artists now. Like even when you make an album, they're releasing them as singles because that's smart, editorial wise. You know. And my distribution company, shout out to Levantine, my distribution company always give me advices to how I produce my music, so it gets the right editorial support.
Yeah.
And Levantine was supporting a lot of artists from the region, you know, and I'm honored that they chose me to support me. So I've been working with them, and it's been a bless working with them because they direct me kind of the right way when it comes to this stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
How did it feel to get that project out finally?
So, so the Third World one, I split it to 3 pieces, and that was the first piece only came out. The second one, The Ghost of Sham, came out of it, the one with the Finnish artist. And there's some other songs, Majnoon, and some other songs are coming on the way. I'm just like right now, just releasing them because, you know, like that perfectionist artist vision that you hold to things for years and then like until when, you know, just get it out.
Tomorrow's not guaranteed, right?
We're not guaranteed tomorrow. So I'm just getting it out kind of now and focus so I can be fresh and just focus on the hip hop shari, the Hakawati experience. Yeah. And that's what kind of I want to do and even bring back to Syria.
Yeah. And the storytelling seems like such an important part of that too.
Yeah, I want to go actually do a show in where the last Hakawati was. It's called Ahwat al-Nofara Cafe. That's in Damascus, in the old city. There was still Hakawati before the revolution started, and his son continues a little bit. I don't know if they're still doing it right there, but I'll be happy to be one of the first young Hakawatis to go
be like
and talk there.
Probably a pretty powerful experience, I imagine.
It'll be euphoric.
That's the word of the podcast.
Yeah, the word.
And if people want to play Third Worldwide, the Volume 1, it's on your Bandcamp page?
No, it's available actually on all platforms.
Oh, on all streaming platforms.
Any
Perfect.
Platform, all my music.
Can they buy it on Bandcamp, though?
I think so, but also you can buy it on Amazon or any platform that you can buy it too. So
buy it over stream it is kind of my point.
Stream it or buy it. Mostly people listen to Spotify, I think, and also YouTube Music. Those are
they don't pay enough. Make sure you buy the project. That's
if you buy it, it will give us more money because I mean I'll just tell you honestly how much I made from royalties this year is $26. So
hey, can get you half a tank of gas.
Yeah.
Hey, but it's better than zero, right?
Yeah, it's better than zero. But actually, speaking of one of the good things actually happened here to me in Maine is that my music actually, the Blue Giant, is was licensed to be played on NCIS Los Angeles
Whoa.
In 2018.
So it was on TV?
Yeah, it is on TV. If you go watch
Wow.
the episode, I believe it's called "This Is What We Do."
Yeah.
From season 9. And the scene, actually, I was like, when I didn't tell anyone about this until it happened, and I
Yeah.
watched it on TV, because you can't just brag about thing and
Expectation.
Then I saw it, and actually I was surprised because I didn't know what the scene is. Like, they described a little bit what the scene, the music producer, supervisor, when he talked to me.
Mm-hmm.
He reached out to me. I was working as a barista, was hating my life. It was like, he reached out on Facebook and he was like, I'm a music producer. I was like, we looked him up and he was legitimate. He's like, did How I Met Your Mother and a lot of shit.
Damn, that
Like,
never happens. It's usually like spam or some shit.
yeah, I was like, this is definitely spam. We looked his name up. He's definitely like, I want to give you a call. I want to talk to you. And he talked to me and he was legit. And he gave me also a number. I was like, oh my God, that was the biggest number I had in my career. And I was like, yeah, oh, that's fair. I'm like, I'm playing cool. And I'm like, yeah. And he was like, we probably want 2 songs, but definitely we're going to take 1 from you.
Damn.
And he was like, the producer of the show loves your music. And I'm like, I was like, excuse me, the producer of NCIS Los Angeles love my music. Okay, great. I'm happy.
Yeah,
I called my mom immediately. Mom.
No, that's like a syndication. Getting your music on TV is big.
So the scene actually is LL Cool J and his Rolls Royce going undercover.
Wait, that's
and he's
LL
listening
Cool
to
J
the
thing.
song in the Rolls Royce.
Did you ever play LL Cool J like back in the day? Because he's a pretty big rapper.
Yeah, I love LL Cool J, definitely. LL Cool J, one of my favorites too. So to see LL Cool J and my song in the same scene, I was like, yes, I made it.
That's like a dream come true.
Yeah.
Honestly. Wow. Well, we're at decently far into the podcast, so usually around this point we kind of have some more lighthearted, rapid-fire questions. You ready for some quick ones?
Sure.
These are going to be very kind of silly, but they're fun. What's your favorite color?
It's hard. It was blue, but then purple. Between these 2 colors.
Those are good colors. Blue's probably my favorite. It's tough. What's the last great movie or book you saw or read?
I don't read a lot because I'm mildly dyslexic, and that's why I left school. So the last great movie, recently I rewatched this movie, and I suggest a lot of people watch it. It's called The Physician.
The Physician. I've never heard of
It's
it.
by Ben Kingsley. He played Ibn Sina, the first doctor in the world.
Oh,
He's
yeah.
an Arab doctor.
I know Ben Kingsley. Yeah.
Yeah.
I got this movie called Sexy Beast with Ben Kingsley over there.
He's
I'm like,
amazing. I
yeah.
love him. He's one of my favorite actors.
He's very.
He always plays the Arab guy. So
Did he play He like did he win like an Oscar for or whatever it is for Gandhi too? Did he play Gandhi?
he played Gandhi. He was great at Gandhi too. But when he played Ibn Sina, because Ibn Sina was the first doctor who opened the human body and looked at so it was not allowed at the time.
Yeah, that'd be a.
It's
I
a great
couldn't do
movie.
that, bro. Damn, human body kind of freaks me out, man. I'm very amazed by it, but I don't know if I.
Oh, but there is not a lot of scenes in that. It's more about the story about this young British physician who traveled the world and pretend to be a Jewish slave to go meet Ibn Sina and learn from him. It's an interesting.
The Physician.
Yeah, The Physician. Interesting movie.
Mountains, lakes, or the beach?
Beach.
Is there any Maine artist you'd want to shout out that you've met out here? You don't have to pick anybody.
Yes. No. I definitely Words of Phrase.
Yeah, I know him too from. I've seen him at I think Flash Lounge before. Yeah, he's been on the podcast before.
There's
too.
multiple Lunar Landing, multiple people.
Yeah,
but
he's been on the
Words of
podcast, too.
Phrase is a main artist. A Lunar Landing is like me. He came from different place, I think.
Yeah, I think he moved too. I don't know if Dan's or Lunar's around anymore. But yes, they both have interviews on this podcast too, actually. So shout out that.
Cool.
If you could travel to any planet besides Earth, which planet would you go to?
Mars, because I mentioned it in my songs a lot. Like, even I said, put me in and send me to Mars. I don't know. Because I said that, let's go to Mars.
It's the closest one, so it's probably easiest
By
to
the way,
get
we call it بالعربي, in Arabic, it's called المريخ.
Marie?
المريخ, yeah.
I'm
it
so
has
bad
that.
at producing the different inflections, man. Even when I was learning Spanish, bro, I was so fucking bad with the accents too. Just like but I'm trying. It's all about.
It's so
effort.
funny because I met a guy who was named someone, and she was like, "Here's my friend Juan," and I'm like, I thought to meet Asian person. I looked and was like, "He's not Asian." I was like, "Oh, okay, Juan,
Yeah,
and he was like,
Juan.
"Oh my god!" He was so happy. You were the first person to say my name right. I was like, "We have that letter too. It's okay,
Yeah.
chill."
That's beautiful, man. What's a goal you still have as an artist?
The goal is to go back to Syria and open a hip hop museum.
That'd be pretty damn cool. And you could even probably do live performances at the museum too, man.
Definitely.
Final rapid fire question. What's a main restaurant or food spot you want to shout out?
Layalina
In
restaurant
Bedford?
in Bedford.
That place is
Yes.
so damn good, bro.
Shout out to Layalina Bedford. That's my go-to. I always go there and
That place
eat.
is so
That's
good.
like the one and only, you know. But I love what they do,
It's-
and they're amazing people, and they're very generous. Go try them and support local business.
It's near the library, kind of, right? Am I tripping?
Yeah, it's right across from the library,
Yeah,
like
go-
right across the street. Layalina.
Lealina's delicious, man. I had just one of the standard chicken and rice meals, but I think I got some hummus on the side and toss it all together.
He makes the hummus and he make the baba ganoush and he make that garlic paste. Did you try
Yeah,
that?
no, I only
You can
tried
buy
the
it
hummus.
separately. Try it with French fries and roasted chicken, rotisserie
and
chicken.
garlic paste?
Yeah, it's amazing.
Squeeze a little lemon on there, man. Maybe have some hashish beforehand.
Yeah.
I ain't saying nothing. That's it. That's the rapid fire questions. We're gonna kind of wind down here towards the end. Is there anything you're working on you want to promote, like any music or any like things coming up?
Yes, I am working on a project, but I didn't want to release it here because I want to film the music video in Syria.
Mm.
And it's called Genzir, and it translates to a chain, and it talks about like it has some English in it. So like, it says, "We all can change, we carry chains until we break them." So it's up to us if we can carry these we can carry them and keep going, walking around until we figure out a way to break them.
Yeah.
So kind of like the song talks about. I'm tired of like I have to explain myself to everyone. Who are you? Where are you from? Why did you come here? It's like, man, you just be yourself. You don't have to all the time.
Yeah, it's nobody's business
Yeah.
unless you want to share it.
Yeah.
Where can people contact you? Where can people contact Assasi?
Anywhere you can find me, Assasi Music, ASSASI Music at Assasi Music. Any platform, that's easy. I worked on that, so it's easy for people to find.
Make it easy for the people who don't even probably can barely. There's so much illiteracy in America already in English. So good luck in other languages too, man. It's not a country that I mean, especially look at the news recently. It's not a country that rewards education. So shout out there. Speaking of simplicity, this is kind of a positive question. What's a simple pleasure you've been enjoying about life lately? Like anything small. It could just be having a cup of tea in the morning, something like that.
Definitely spending time with my partner in the morning, drinking coffee and having like those moments of laughing, and then my roommate joins us, Salam, and my cat. So the three of us is kind of our cat waits for us and meow at us for treats in the morning, and it's like a special moment. So like those are little joys of life, and I always tell people like appreciate the presence of people that you care about. Because again, you said you appreciate your mom. I didn't see my mom for 10 years.
Yeah, man.
So this is very precious. Time is very precious. We can't bring it back. So enjoy every moment.
Yeah, I was literally gonna say every moment matters. That's very true. All right, we got just a couple more questions left, and we pretty much out of here. Where will Assasi be 1 year from now?
Hopefully in Syria.
Filming the video.
And not filming a video, helping to rebuild the country. Be one of the hands of rebuilding the music culture, the music scene, everything. Helping the youth, give everything I can with what I can do. Like, just contribute.
It's beautiful, man. Well, I hope it comes to fruition. I hope it comes true, man.
Thank you.
All right, man. That's it, actually. I always shout out the sponsor of this podcast, my favorite restaurant out here in Portland, Yardy Ting, in the public market. Shout out Yardy Ting. And, yeah, man, this has been a very in-depth conversation. Sometimes I have conversations, I'm kind of like, oh, shit, bro, it's only been like 20 minutes. It feels like it's been an hour. We've been talking for 83 minutes, and I could honestly, like, it just feels like it's been like 20 minutes to me, man.
Well,
So,
thank you.
Yeah, unless you have anything else, we out of here, man. Shout out Yardy Ting. Shout out everyone supporting, take care of each other. Oh, I will say, remember, you're much closer to being homeless than you are a millionaire or a billionaire. So stop motherfucking trusting the evil people running the system and put money back in your communities, man. All right, just want to say that we gotta look out for each other, man. Solidarity. Fuck white supremacy. Fuck colonialism. Fuck imperialism. Peace.